Welcome to Gutter Trash, episode 267, Rye. My name is Eric.
I am Jason. Oh, yeah. So what's up?
What's up is that I read Rye.
Yeah, right? A Valiant comic.
Yep.
Are we just going to talk about Rye now? Is that what we're doing?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's what we're supposed to do.
I mean, I did just finish reading it like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still fresh.
Yeah, Valiant Comics.
Do you guys remember Valiant, right? 1992. It was fucking huge.
It was kind of huge. I remember the very first issue of Wizard magazine that I ever read. They would not stop talking about how awesome Valiant was.
Right. You think they were being paid well to do that? Or do you think,
I'm sure.
Or do you think it was like partially, they were like, man, this could be the next Marvel?
Well, that's what they kept saying.
Right.
That this could be the next Marvel. So I imagine that they were paid pretty well. Yes.
Right.
Especially after having listened to the Marvel The Untold Story audiobook.
Okay.
I have no doubts in my mind that there was propaganda and just corporate weight being thrown around to produce to promote it as much as possible.
Right.
Especially with Jim Shooter, being sort of the creative force behind Valiant.
Right.
That had to be a thing. Also, I will say that as an impressionable young teenager, because God, 1992, I was
13 or something.
13, 14, something like that. And yeah,
Excuse me.
I didn't buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can tell you exactly how many Valiant comics that I have read in my life.
Yeah.
And it is this trade.
Right.
Exo Man of War number 0.
The Quesada issue.
The Quesada issue with a chromium cover.
Oh, wraparound
chromium cover. Bought it at a Myers.
Wow.
And, like 2 issues of Deathmate.
Wow. Wow, that was it?
Well, I mean, unless you're going to, include the current Valiant comeback.
Okay. Did you read some of those?
I did read some of those. I read the first 2 issues of the new Exo Man of War and the first issue of the new Shadow Man.
No, why'd you do that? That's curious.
Exo Man of War was being drawn by an artist by the name of Carrie Nord, who I really like.
Oh, yeah, did Conan for a while.
A while. Daredevil back in the mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
And Shadow Man was written by Justin Jordan, who writes the Luther Strode comic.
Oh, okay.
And drawn by Patrick Zurcher, who is just a really good artist who I follow on Twitter, and he seems really gracious.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he's also really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one did Garth Ennis write on the comeback?
None of them.
Oh, okay. I thought you said he wrote some Valiant.
Yeah, he did. He wrote some Shadow Man back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Really? That long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
I
assumed it was like the comeback.
No, it was back when after Acclaim had bought the company, and they were trying to reimagine Shadow Man as more of a Vertigo-esque type comic.
Okay.
And it's like basically like the Garth Ennis issues of that were sort of, I don't know which came first, the video game or his take on the character, but it was like along those
Parallel,
lines.
right?
I think like Ashley Wood was drawing covers for it, and so it was like that scratchy, Vertigo-esque type art.
Right.
Where it was definitely more horror-based than superhero-based.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that was years ago. Years and years ago.
Wow.
Garth Ennis doesn't do much of anything these days except his own work and the occasional Marvel thing.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read a few Valiant comics back in the 90s. I read Exo, and I read Harbinger. I only read like I didn't buy Harbinger as it came out, but when the trade paperback came out, I bought that and read it. And I read a couple issues of Shadow Man, and that might have been. Oh no, I read Bloodshot and Turok, but that was it.
That's far more than I read. Yeah. As far as I know, that's the entire line, isn't it?
Well, there's Magnus and Eternal Warrior and Solar and
Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah, that's the weird thing is like I've never read Archer and Armstrong, and that seems like the one that's like way different and probably way better. I mean, it looks like a really fun comic, and Barry Windsor Smith did it for a while. And,
right.
I don't know. Yeah, I've never read that one, and it's pretty short run. Like a lot of Valiant comics had, 40 or 50 issues, but I think there was only like half that many of Archer and Armstrong. Mm-hmm. So I might actually search those out.
Yeah. I wish you luck.
Yeah. I don't think they ever made a trade of that one, so it might be kind of a quest, but.
Or it could be super easy because they might be in
quarter boxes everywhere. Well, yeah, there is a small comic convention next Saturday. I just found out about it yesterday.
Oh.
It's kind of like one of those old Jubilee conventions. It's at what used to be the Holiday Inn by the Dayton Mall. It's now like the Wyndham Gardens or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a little convention there. So.
Oh,
might actually look for some quarter Valiant books.
When do you know that?
Saturday. It's only on Saturday morning. It's like 10 to 4 or something like that.
I might tag along with you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'll have to figure out what I'm doing first, but I enjoy taking a look anyway.
Right. Sweet.
It's been years since I've been to one of those kind of things.
You totally should. Just to warn you, when I found out about it, I was sitting at my table with one of my friends, and he said he might go.
Okay.
And I said we should go.
Okay.
So there might be 3 of us.
All right.
And he's all right. He's a good guy.
I'm out.
You'd like this guy.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for dashing all my hopes and dreams.
You can meet us there.
Nope.
Oh. All right. Whatever. There's other conventions, I'm sure. Right? Yeah. What's wrong with that guy? You don't even know that guy. Or
exactly.
That's the thing. Right?
Yep.
You don't know him. Okay. But, anyway. But yeah, I'd never read Rye. Ever.
Neither have I.
Yeah. But you did read it now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Today. I read it today.
Sweet. Yeah, so this is a trade paperback. It's issues 1 through 4 plus the 0 issue.
Right. Which, I had to do some research after I read this, to figure out, because, alright. I mean, if you're thinking chronologically, 0 comes before 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually.
But this 0 issue was published between issues 8 and 9 of this comic.
Huh. And yet, it appears after issue 4 in the trade.
Right. What the hell's happening? Because I'll say this, 0 spoils a ton of things.
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah.
And it's like, kind of just like all of a sudden, everything is, it's not like 0 sort of ties nicely into the first 4 issues.
No, yeah.
Like, yeah, it just feels like a weird thing to add to this trade paperback.
Yep. And, I mean, if I read this trade paperback and let's say I'm interested in the continuing adventures of this character,
right?
By putting issue 0 in it kind of makes me not want to read the subsequent issues because I already know what happens to that guy.
Yeah, it's like watching a recap of, a season of TV show. You're like, well, I don't really need to see that season anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of. And I think maybe why they added it in there, because it's kind of a big commercial for all the other Valiant comics, because like every character appears in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of felt weird that they added the 0 in there. I kind of wish it wouldn't have been in there.
I kind of wish it wouldn't have been in there either, except for the fact that I liked it better than the other 4 issues.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it because issue 0 was drawn by awesome artist David Lapham?
It didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Because, sorry, Joe St. Pierre, not that great.
I think he was totally serviceable. Like,
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It is entirely serviceable.
right.
But, I mean, yeah, it's everything is drawn correctly.
Yeah. And it moves the story along.
It moves the story.
Like, there was never a panel I was like, what is this supposed to be? But
Exactly. But there was also never a panel where I wanted to stare at the panel to soak it all in.
right.
I just wanted to move on to the next panel.
Right.
Which,
I mean, that's what comics are about.
it's sort of what comics are about. And I can totally, again, from what little I know about a Jim Shooter, I can totally see that being his thing.
Mm-hmm.
That the art should never.
He wants a house style.
He wants a house style, and it should never overpower the story.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that approach on most comics. Like, unless it's like just somebody like, Jeff Darrow, Dave Cooper, or somebody where you're like, their art is just fucking amazing, But, I mean, I think the story is more important than the art.
Oh, I think so too. Well, no, I don't actually. I think they're equal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be equal. The art should be in service to the story.
Being equal is ideal. But if one has to be worse than the other, I'd rather the story be better than the art.
I agree with you on that. But, yeah,
I mean, it is ideal though when they're both good.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I'd rather see, I mean, like, this probably would have been cooler if, like, Francesco Francavilla had drawn it.
Sure. Yeah.
Or somebody, that's a little, got a little more style to them.
Yeah. I like a little flair in my comic art.
Right.
Nothing that, as long as it doesn't detract from the story.
Right.
But, then there's also this comic where the story is just sort of okay as well.
I didn't dislike the story. Like, it wasn't like a story that, as it unfolds, you're like, wow, I can't believe there's all these layers.
Right.
But I thought it was just weird enough.
Also serviceable.
Yeah. It was entertaining. And one thing I was impressed with on the story is it dealt with a lot of politics, but it never felt like a history lesson or like a... Like,
well, it takes place in the future, so it can't.
It was in a future. It never felt like a future lesson. Yeah, it takes place in the year 4040 or something.
4001.
4001.
Yeah.
Like, Rai is basically this guardian of Japan,
Right.
and Japan's like kind of having a civil war kind of thing.
A little bit. It's Japan is also floating in space.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Because its sentient computer guardian grandmother brought it into outer space to fight, like, spider aliens or something.
I think that's,
Previous
to this series.
To this series, yeah.
Which I think we really only learn if you read the introduction.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they hint at it, but they assume that you've already read, because I guess that happened there was like a few issues of Magnus, the Robot Fighter, where Rai first appeared.
And at least according to issue 0, there was also some sort of huge crossover that happened too.
Yeah.
Called Unity.
Yeah.
So these are all things that happened before this comic.
Well, Unity happened after issue 4 of Rai, but before issue 0.
Okay. Right.
I think it was like issues 6 and 7 of Rai.
Okay.
Because it was weird. It like went through. It was like those Marvel things that I don't like because they make you buy everything.
Right.
But it really did like just sort of totally take over all the comics. It wasn't like, when you read Civil War and it says that you need to read all these other things.
Right.
It literally was. There was like a Unity 0 and a Unity 1.
Right.
But every other chapter of the book was just like in some Valiant comic.
Right.
Which I actually kind of respect that, but at the same time, I'm much more interested in reading the pre-Unity stuff just because it's before they muddled it all with like a giant crossover.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm guessing.
I don't know what to say about that. I don't like it when comics do that. Like let's say Marvel. You have 2 issues of X-Men that lead into like 2 issues of Avengers or whatever, but there's no like overarching series or anything like that. I hate that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't.
See, I would like it the best.
I thought we would agree on that, but
I would like it best if Unity would have been like Unity 1 through 8, and that was it.
No, yeah, that's what I prefer. Yeah.
Right, but usually when that happens, though, they also like tell you need to read Rise 7 and 8 because there'll be like one panel where he's like, I gotta hop into this bubble, and it says continued in Unity, but I like it when it would just be completely separate.
Uh-huh.
But if they are going to tie it in, I would rather it just be like, that issue is a necessity, and they're not just like bullshitting you and telling you that you need to read it. But again, like it would be the best if it was just like a separate series, Unity. But I mean, like they were following. Obviously, a lot of these people worked for Marvel. Like it's written by David Michelin. And Bob Layton, I think, did something in there.
He did the 0 issue.
He did the 0 one.
And Jim Shooter, of course, was involved.
So they learned a lot of tricks over at Marvel.
Oh, yeah. Then I think Barry Windsor Smith even edited one of the comics in there.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked it. Like, I really did. I liked it better than I thought I would. Because it was just weird enough. Like some of the, some of the scenery and like just like the nerve web and all these things, like Raya rides around in this nerve web of Japan and every Rai, like every male in his family is like inherits the Rai power or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, there was enough like weirdness out of it that I thought it was enjoyable and unique.
The thing is, I don't like these type of comics or stories at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is just mostly straight up sci-fi more than like superhero or anything else.
Right.
And it takes place like in a far flung future that
There's not like a character you can kind of relate to because it's way different.
Right. Yeah. And also like I just don't like sci-fi concepts.
Yeah.
Just.
Well, it's like when we read Prophet.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this was really similar to Prophet because there was just a lot of weird like ships and things.
Yeah.
But not as weird.
Not as weird as Prophet because Prophet is just done by really pretentious people who probably do a ton of drugs.
I would agree with the latter part, but maybe not the former part.
But no, yeah, I don't. I'm just not a sci-fi guy, and this is definitely more of a straight up sci-fi book than anything else.
Yeah, I mean he's a hero, but he's not. It's like a hero bound to sci-fi realities.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, reading it, and then there was all this references to continuity, and I got through it.
Right.
And it wasn't terrible. But it was just nothing that made me want to read further or even any other Valiant books at all. I
actually did enjoy this enough that I looked on eBay and I was because here's the deal, I'm jobless. I don't spend money on comics.
Right.
I got a $5 gift certificate to Half Price Books for Christmas. And so I went out there.
Seems pretty cheap. Who would,
I know, right? I know. I'm not gonna say.
Okay.
No, actually, it was me that got it for myself.
Okay.
And now.
Well, that explains.
Yeah, because I'm jobless, right? I had to get myself something. I've spent so much time with me over the years. I felt obligated. No, well, here's the thing, and this will make me sound even worse, because I bought my brother a $20 gift certificate to Half Price Books for Christmas, And then, like, they were like, oh, yeah, we're doing this special. If you come in January, you can use this $5 coupon, with your gift certificate. And I looked at it when I got home and I was like, do you have to use it with the gift certificate?
Right, yeah.
And it doesn't say, it just says, like, bring this in and you get $5 off if you come in January. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm going to keep the coupon for myself and just give my brother a gift certificate. So, like, that's pretty shitty of me.
Yeah,
but
I've done that. I've gotten gift certificates for my brothers for like restaurants or whatever.
Right.
And it was like a deal where if you bought like a $50 gift certificate, you got a $10 gift certificate.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I'll take that for myself.
Yeah. Because you did the work, you bought the thing for your brother.
Sure, yeah.
It's not like they were like, well, it's not like they screwed your brother out of $5. Like they didn't take it off of his certificate. So yeah, okay, I'm justified.
Yeah.
And so I went out there and I looked around and I couldn't find anything I really wanted, but they had this Rye trade paperback for $5.99.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that would only cost me $1.
Right. Well, with tax.
Yeah, $1.20 or whatever.
Sure.
But I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I bought this. I spent like $1 on it.
You know what? This is worth $1.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought it was worth $5, really. But I went looking online. I was like, I wonder how much, the later issues are. And man, some of them, like issue 5, like the very next one in the series, the cheapest I saw it was like $40 anywhere.
Well, that's kind of the thing with Valiant is that they had low print runs.
Super low print runs.
Because they were still just a fledgling company with unknown characters.
I honestly remember, let me find the issue. I think it's 3. Because I'm looking at the covers here. Yeah, issue 3. This one here where he's like fighting this Walt Simonson looking monster.
Yeah.
I remember when that was on the shelf.
To be honest, to just clarify, it doesn't look like Walt Simonson.
No, it looks like he might have drawn it.
Okay.
Right, yeah. I actually don't know what Walt Simonson looks like, but I'm guessing he's not like a 500-foot tall Japanese spirit beast.
Okay.
Guessing.
Again,
I've never seen him.
Yeah.
Right. I know he does conventions, and I would imagine they couldn't accommodate that size of an artist.
Maybe would have made some news somewhere.
Right, yeah. But, so yeah, I remember when number 3 was on the rack at Mavericks, and we had, because I worked there when Valiant came out. I was like 13 or 14 or whatever. And I remember Rye number 3 was on the wall, and this dude came in he was kind of a douchebag. His name was Dean, or his name was Jay. He went by different names, and he ran this comic shop called D&D Comics. It was here in Dayton. It was in that shopping center on Patterson and Wilmington, where there's like a cold beer and cheeseburgers now.
Okay, I know that shopping center. I never knew there was a comic shop there.
They weren't very, very long. Like at the most a year, but probably less than that.
All right.
But
yeah, I've never heard of that comic shop.
Yeah. One of my friends got threatened with a bowl of chili when he went in there because the guy was like, "Don't you work at Mavericks?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." And he was just shopping, and the guy I was talking about, Dean J, or whatever his name was, he threatened to throw his bowl of chili on him if he didn't get the fuck out of his store because he worked at Mavericks. That's how awesome this guy was.
Wow.
And
he's not in business anymore.
He's not in business anymore. Huh. No. Yeah, apparently he had some troubles. But he came in to Mavericks one day, and
did you threaten to throw chili on him?
Well, this was before the chili, or I would have. It would have been veggie chili. But
that's even worse.
I know, right? The stains won't come out. But he went over and he picked up every copy of Rye number 3 that was on the rack.
Yeah.
And but then like in a moment of like human decency, which like this guy wasn't a total monster, but he was just known to be a jerk.
Right.
He put one copy back on the shelf and he goes, "Hey kid," he's like, because he was like 10 years older than me.
Right.
He's like, "You should totally buy this comic here on the wall, this Rye number 3. He's like, "I'm buying all the rest of them that you guys have." He's like, "Because it's going for a lot more than this." And I was like, "Really? Okay." So I bought the one copy,
right.
And then like I rang him up for all the rest of them. And then I went to one of those Jubilee. There's like these little comic conventions in our town back then. You remember, but maybe
we just talked about it 10 minutes ago.
Well, maybe the listener doesn't know, but they were called Jubilee. And Yeah.
you invited me and then told me somebody else was going.
Yeah, it's my friend Jay, or Dean. I call him Dean sometimes. No, but he like, I went to that comic convention like the next weekend, and I sold it to like just some dealer there for like $30. And,
nice.
Like, I paid like $2 for it or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, I made some money off some Valiant comics early on.
Right.
But yeah, that was how crazy Valiant was. Like, I mean, it was new. It was like maybe a month old.
Right.
And it was going for like 30. I mean, dealers were paying $30 for it, so they were probably selling it for 50 or 60. So yeah, Valiant was fucking crazy how it just exploded like that.
Yep. And then Image came along and took the wind out of its sails.
It kind of did. Yeah. Yeah. Because people were like, wait a minute, these stories are not that great, but the art's fucking spectacular.
Right,
yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. And I learned a new catchphrase that I'm probably going to use for the rest of my life in reading this. There's a line where something happens, I forget, and Rai goes, why do I feel like I got caught with my hand in the tofu jar?
That's right.
And I was like, what? Are they trying to say, like, in the future, tofu is like the new cookies?
Yeah. But only because in space they don't have the resources to make cookies.
Right. There's no butter. Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know, dude. Do the Japanese eat cookies?
I don't know. Every like Asian dessert I've ever had is terrible. So maybe they, like tofu, they definitely have that right.
Sure.
They know what they're doing with the tofu.
I mean, it's not a thing for me, but, I can put my weight behind any meat sort of product that the Asians can make.
Oh, yeah. Like chickens and whatnot.
Chickens and shrimps and beefs, sure.
It's maybe a squid.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they seem to have all sorts of seafood down pat.
But not so much the desserts.
Not so much desserts or anything with cheese.
Yeah, what is the deal there? Is that like... Yeah, I mean, is there no animal over there? Like, are there a lack of goats and cows and,
I wouldn't think so. I mean...
They could use squid cheese,
they make
right?
beef, so,
yeah, it's weird.
So there should be some sort of cow-like animal over there.
They just haven't perfected the cheese-making process.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird.
Or they just don't like it, maybe.
Or they just don't like it. Yeah, could be.
Huh. Well, they don't know what they're missing. Because cheese is the only thing that keeps me from being vegan. I could give up eggs and milk in a fucking second. Mm-hmm. But cheese, man. I don't think I could give up cheese.
Yeah. She's pretty great.
I don't think I want to try.
Right. And as a vegetarian, I would say that your options for eating things, especially if you go out or whatever, is pretty much limited to things that would have cheese on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if I go outside of my house, unless I, am at a place that has one of those vegan-friendly stickers on their wall.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm eating a big pile of cheese wherever I go.
Yeah.
It's not like there's many other options.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know how vegans do it unless they cook every single meal at home. Because everywhere you go, like, there's like one vegetarian option.
Right.
Unless it's like, Christopher's or one vegetarian friendly place, and it's a pile of cheese on a piece of bread.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know how it's done.
Maybe that's a sign for vegans.
Oh, they're saying vegans go home.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So Rye.
Oh, I did.
Oh.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, no, I got nothing to say.
I found out something interesting when I was researching. I looked up Rye to see, like where his first appearance was and whatnot.
Right.
Because obviously the story starts and it kind of, fills you in. But did you read anything about the cover of Rye number 0?
No, I did not.
Oh, that's an interesting story.
Okay.
Like, here's the picture of it. It's really similar to the cover on the trade paperback, but
it's a white cover with a red circle, and there's just a shadow of a character. Like, it's a silhouette holding a sword and a gun, and he's got the little red circle on his chest.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a real simple, like, there's no detail.
Super simple.
Just a shadow.
Looks like Bloodshot.
And
the shadows.
Do you know who drew this?
No, I do not.
Mr. Jim Shooter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Because apparently when they were doing the issue 0, They were rushing it out, and they did not have an artist in the studio at the time.
Right.
And he was like, I think I can do this.
Uh-huh.
So what he did was he opened a copy of the official Marvel universe, like index to the Marvel universe.
Uh-huh.
He opened it to the page of Punisher by Mike Zeck, and he traced it.
All right.
Because there's pictures online of that image side by side and even overlaid on top of this Rye number 0, and it is exact.
Wow.
Like, yeah. He totally just Liefelded that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Greg landed.
Right, Greg landed it. Yeah. Yeah, Liefeld stills the composition, but he draws in his own characters.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he even, and it's not just like someone found that and says like, hey, I think this is it. Like there's quotes for Jim Shooter. He's like, I honestly didn't think anybody noticed. And he's like, I didn't really know how to draw, but I thought it, served its purpose. And he's like, I didn't really feel bad about doing it.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks different enough. And,
he added a sword in there.
Right. Shoulder pads and stuff. And, I mean, honestly, it's like, it's the one thing that I've always remembered about Rye or Valiant is that cover.
Yeah, it's like a simple and iconic. And yeah, it's pretty funny. It was, fine. Mm-hmm.
Like, just not a thing that I would ever be into, obviously, because I never read it anyway.
Right.
Just some of the Valiant characters that just never really did anything for me outside of just visually, they're all kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a neat little universe.
It's a neat little universe, and I certainly respect it. And what
they tried,
they tried, and then the fact that they're making a comeback now, and still attempting to do it. I'm fine with it. It's not something that's really been in my wheelhouse. So
if I can find subsequent issues in like quarter boxes, or if I could find like I know that comic shop you deal with, my comic shop, they have like different grades of books. So if I could find a copy of that book that's a little beat up for cheap, I would at least read through Unity just to kind of see what I think of it, because it was fun. It was different.
Yeah, I mean, there's some neat concepts.
I Spike the villain. He was amazing. It was a pretty cheesy villain.
That was awful. Yeah. It's the Exo Man-O-War suit is involved in this. But then there's other things where it's just like, really, in the year 4000, Japan is still going to be almost exactly like feudal Japan, except in the future and in space. It's just like things like that bother me.
I really liked that there's a Japanese soldier named Wasabi. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. It's just, really, 4,000, the year 4,000, they're gonna still pretend to like it's the 1700s, but with space armor.
Everything comes back around. Like the 80s hairstyles are coming back. So,
right.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
All right. Whatever. We've read much worse.
Yeah.
And
I can totally see what you're saying though about it just kind of being
right.
But
I was never bored reading it, and I got frustrated a couple times, but the only times of that when it was about technobabble.
Right.
Like that kind of thing just bugs the crap out of me.
And there was a couple times where they used like a piece of future slang. It was like, shrag it or something like that. Yeah, I never liked that, but
not a fan.
I enjoyed it though, and I thought there's something kind of odd about like the artwork was kind of precise in places, like when they drew all the machinery and like the weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Like usually when you see that, it's kind of like in Heavy Metal Magazine or Prophet or whatever, everything's like real weird and loose and organic looking. I thought it was kind of neat that everything was really like, like legible and laid out. As, like you could tell they used like a lot of precise measurements on all the futuristic crap, and I don't know, like there's parts of it I thought were neat, but yeah, I'd say it's interesting more than it's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums up how I feel about it. It was in a way fun to read this thing from 25 years ago, or however long, 22 years. That like I never got into when it was a thing,
right?
And now looking back on it, from my point of view now, and then seeing, what I missed out on,
right.
And just in some ways trying to figure out why it did become like such a phenomenon.
Right, yeah. Well, this is their first
original character.
Rye was their first original character, yeah, because Magnus was before this, but that was like a 60s character.
And then Dr. Solar, and then
Turok,
yep.
But maybe some of the other ones kind of, like, I remember, I haven't read Harbinger in forever, like since the late 90s or mid 90s, but I remember that one being like one of the best written ones. So I don't know, maybe some of them had more, like interesting elements to them, but
right.
But yeah, I mean, it was odd enough that I think I will read some more Valiant if I can find them cheap, like in quarter boxes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I always thought the characters were interesting, and like I said, the one issue of Exo Manowar that I read was interesting enough that like when they were making their comeback like 2 years ago, like that's kind of also why I picked it up, because the concept is neat. Basically Conan the Barbarian gets Iron Man's suit. It's like, wackiness ensues.
I would imagine, like, I only read the first 2 or 3 issues of Turok, but I would imagine that would be the one that maybe me and you would enjoy because, first of all, it starts out with Bart Sears doing all the artwork.
I enjoy Bart Sears.
And then Tim Truman takes over and he's like writing it and drawing it for a while. Mm-hmm. And that guy's great. I mean, we've read some of his stuff.
Right.
I feel like that one might be more up our alley.
Probably.
Because it's like a guy hunting these lost dinosaurs on Earth, and it's kind of like a weird Western feel.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, some of the rest of them are just kind of, I mean, like Exo is obviously really similar to Iron Man, and,
right. Well, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Like I said,
it's got its own.
It's got its own thing.
Right.
Like I said, it's Conan the Barbarian who finds a superpowered suit of armor.
Right.
What's he going to do with it? He's just going to kick some ass.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's another thing. Like, I'm not big on stories about, chosen ones and, oh, this is a lineage that has been passed down through centuries.
Right.
That's not a thing that I've ever truly enjoyed either.
Yeah.
So.
At least they made, like, his father was kind of funny and goofy.
Yeah.
And, like,
I enjoyed, the interaction between those two.
Yeah.
But, like I said, you get to the Zero issue that's in the end of this trade, and it kind of spoils quite a few things, and it's just like, oh, well, then why would I bother reading the remainder issues of this book anyway?
And it really complicates things, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like the first 4 issues, you're just kind of grooving along, and it's building, and all of a sudden there's, like, 40 new elements in issue 0, and it's kind of... It's almost off-putting as far as like even if you did sort of still want to read 5 through 8,
right?
It's almost kind of like whoa, like that's just like too much crap gonna happen.
And like you said at the beginning, it is more of it's the origin of Rye and like how we get to the place where we're at, but then also it like shows us a little bit after, but it also shows us the entire Valiant universe,
right?
And like I'll admit, like it worked as an advertisement, for the rest of the Valiant universe. Like I read that and I was like, oh, well, that could be neat.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind checking some of that out.
Archer seemed a cool character.
Archer, Armstrong, the Bloodshot, even. It all seemed, it definitely worked as an advertisement, I think. Yeah. But I'm probably never going to pursue any further. But
I don't blame you.
But it did work against
the actual story.
Its own book. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But, well, it was fun to look back at a piece of history of the comic book industry.
It was like the biggest thing in '92 for sure.
That wasn't X-Men or Image.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it even overshadowed some of the X-Men stuff for a while. I mean, at least on the Wizard charts and at the conventions and stuff like that. Maybe not.
At this point in the X-Men, Chris Claremont was gone and Jim Lee was already gone by that point. So, yeah. I mean, probably, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was weird.
Weird indeed.
And then it all fell apart.
The 90s.
Yeah.
The comic book industry.
It was, that was a fun time to work at a comic shop.
Yeah. I would imagine.
It was the year before Magic the Gathering came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we were even talking the other day that back in the early 90s, when Magic did come out, it was such a different beast than what it is now.
For sure. It was just like your dudes that played D&D going, oh, here's something different.
Right, yeah. It wasn't just, full of assholes.
Right.
Dirty assholes.
Yeah. They didn't have the tournament scene back then with the cash prizes to make everybody all greedy and weird. Yeah.
Alright, see the break?
Sure.
Beyond the burning, chasing a man, and I'm not leaving. So what's the story? Like a night, they flash from nowhere. I couldn't be bothered, that's what it means. But I got victory. He drank your blood, I can't believe. And now it's over.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Gutter Trash. What's happening?
Nothing good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. May have mistakenly written something on my blog the other day that people might read, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
No.
They shouldn't read it, is what I'm saying.
I continually like your blog. You got some cool artwork on there.
Thank you. Oh yeah, you should never look at the art on my blog because that's generally terrible. Especially now.
Oh, you got a new theme month.
I do. I started a new theme month.
Yeah.
I'm desperately trying to prove that I'm not a racist.
Right.
I'm celebrating Black History Month.
Yeah?
Yeah.
With the history of black heroes.
Black superheroes, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so this is day 2.
And you're going to do all month?
I'm going to do all month, all 28 days.
One per day.
One per day.
Did you find out, is it a leap year?
It is not.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you were worried about, you're like, I don't know if I can do 29. No, you didn't say that.
No. But I thought of the idea for our for my theme month while you were hanging out, and we came up with a list, and some of that list was scraping the veritable bottom of the barrel.
Right. Yeah, that's too bad that over the years there's not like even 30 like really super awesome. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's maybe like a good dozen awesome, memorable black superheroes.
Right.
But after you do a dozen or so, you're like, well, this guy's black and he's a hero. But
and I mean, there are some that I like that probably people aren't
like Patriot.
Like Patriot, and Mr. Terrific. I'm a big fan of that character, and but like they're not like the most well known black superheroes.
You can only have so many Luke Cages and Blades.
Right. Yeah. But one of them, spoiler, whenever I get to it, will be Shadow Man, who we discussed.
Yeah.
I think the only Black Valiant character that I can think of.
Might have been somebody in hardcore.
Maybe. I think I vaguely remember like Jim Lee drew the first issue of that.
Right. Or at least the cover. Did he do the whole issue?
Or no, I'm sorry, just the cover.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think I vaguely remember a black character. Yeah. Man, the fucking 90s were weird as far as comics go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like I've mentioned it already a couple times, that whole Marvel book that I was listening to.
Oh, yeah.
Just like how much money like Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee made.
Oh, yeah. What was the number you gave me the other day that, like Stephen Platt?
Stephen Platt, when he was drawing the original version of Prophet, like recently, Rob Liefeld came out and like said that he paid him like $40,000 an issue to draw Prophet.
And those were 22-page comics.
Yeah,
it wasn't like it was like graphic novel size issues.
No, yeah.
That's crazy.
That is insane. Like I don't know how many he wound up doing, but I know a bunch of them were late. But that was sort of Image and especially Extreme Studios' MO.
I would draw 24 issues of Prophet for $40,000.
I know you would. I bet you that whoever is currently drawing Prophet, like all 4 artists that rotate on it, are probably making $40,000 combined.
Yeah, right. If that,
right.
Honestly.
Yeah, nowadays. I'm sure Brandon Graham probably gets a pretty decent paycheck out of it, but, the artists may not. I don't know.
Right.
But again, because there's like 3 of them working on it
right.
At once. So.
That's just insane money, though.
But, like, yeah, like at the time, yeah.
Rob Liefeld became a millionaire off X-Force #1, probably.
Yeah. And I think, him and Jim Lee were paid just insane amounts of money to do the Heroes Reborn.
Right.
Back in, what was that, 96, 97?
95, 96, yeah, something like that.
It's mind-boggling.
Well, I'm guessing, I said Liefeld made that money on X-Force. I'm guessing he got a cut, or...
Oh, yeah,
because I know it was the best-selling comic ever, you said?
Yeah, he made a fortune out of it, yeah. Him, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, they were all millionaires working for Marvel.
That's insane.
And then, went off to form Image and became probably billionaires. Yeah, I'm sure definitely McFarlane's a billionaire at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if he could afford to buy that McGuire ball, he had to be a billionaire.
And, I mean, I'm sure once Jim Lee sold out to DC, I'm sure he became kind of close to being a billionaire himself.
Yeah. It's insane. Good for them.
Sure, they lived the dream.
Did Sam Keith become a millionaire?
I'm sure he made quite a bit of money, too.
I hope so, because looking back, I know you're a huge Eric Larson fan, and I totally respect Savage Dragon, but I was never that into it.
Sure.
But, looking back at all the, the stable of Image stuff that came out the first year or so, the Max, to me, just stands out as being just, amazing.
Well, it was probably the one that actually was, Savage Dragon is fun. It's, just a big, bombastic Silver Age book with modern, sensibilities.
Yeah.
Out of, the original 7 Image books, it's probably the one that was the best written. But then the Max came along, like in the second wave of Image, and
Right.
it was probably the best written out of all of Image, because, like, Sam Keith, definitely puts a lot of thought and heart into what he does.
Definitely.
He wasn't just I mean, again, no offense to any of the original Image guys, but, he was definitely a lot more...
He's an artiste.
He's an artiste, yeah.
And did Bill Loebs help write it, or did he script it or something?
Yeah, I think he helped write, like, for at least the first year or so.
And he's known for being, he did Wonder Woman for a long time. He's good.
Yeah.
Journey, all that stuff.
Epicurus the Sage,
Yeah.
also Sam Keith.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like even
such a good book.
I think I've said this before too. Like Larry Stroman and I forget his partner's name, but Tribe, when that came out, like they made $1 million on the first issue of that book.
And like you would never see that for more than a quarter now. Like,
Right? Yeah.
Nobody cares.
No.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't, because it's terrible.
Right.
Because I'm a big Larry Stroman fan, and I
Right.
bought that comic, and I was like, this is fucking awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I ever read Tribe, and it had like
You shouldn't have.
it had probably the laziest Image #1 cover ever.
Oh yeah.
It was just like a gold circle with the word Tribe in it or something.
Yep.
I was like, man, that's an awful cover.
Yeah, it was well designed. It's a fun logo.
Yeah, but it's kind of boring for a comic book cover.
Well, sure.
It would have been nice, like button to pin on your jacket or
Although, is it? Because I'm sure it stood out. Especially when you have, 100,000 other covers of dudes with gritted teeth and,
That's true.
speed lines on covers with clutter and shit. So,
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like sitting there holding it on my couch, It's like,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I'm like that's kind of boring looking. But yeah, you're probably right.
I know I am. Still, one of the worst comics ever made.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful.
Other than that amazing cover.
Other than that amazing cover.
Did they only make like two or
like
three?
three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, why am I still doing this? I'm a millionaire. I'm
Right.
done.
Yeah. I think it was like they did 2 issues through Image, they did 1 issue through Image, and then they started their own company because that was a thing that kept happening in the 90s too.
They're like,
And,
fuck this company. I'm tired of working for it.
Right? Yeah.
I have worked for them for all month.
And then they published I think maybe 2 issues of it under their own imprint.
Wow.
And of course the trading card set that when put together was also a comic.
Oh, see, that's cool. I need to do that with my comic. That'd be a good idea. Wow. Yeah,
I think
90s.
even maybe not Valiant, but Defiance did that.
Oh, yeah, with Plasm.
Yeah.
Warriors of Plasm.
Yeah, was that pre-Valiant or post-Valiant?
That was after.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was Jim Shooter and David Lapham did that one together too.
So, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, number 0 was a trading cards. That's right.
Yep.
Because we had the binder at Mavericks forever, like because the binder was like worth some money,
Right.
and we were like, hey, we'll sell it cheap, and nobody wanted it. We're like, it's worth all this money, and everybody's like, no, it's not. It's good stuff. Wow, I
90s,
actually
man.
really liked the Warriors of Plasm.
Really?
Like I read that and enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's weird because, like David Lapham's art and the Ride number 0 was really good, and I liked it better than Joe St. Pierre's art. But to me, nothing compares to what he does in Stray Bullets.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Honestly, I didn't pick up Stray Bullets at first because I just remembered him as being that valiant and defiant guy.
I wouldn't even have recognized if his name wouldn't have been on this book. I wouldn't have recognized number 0 of Rise being his art.
But then eventually I did pick up Stray Bullets, and it was light years ahead.
Oh yeah.
And that was still in the early 90s when I was full on into Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld.
It's probably like you said earlier. He was probably a lot of those artists were being restrained creatively.
Sure, yeah.
Reel it in a little bit. We want a house style, but even Barry Windsor Smith, because he was doing Archer and Armstrong, and it wasn't as crazy as his detailed stuff.
He also probably had to put it out on a deadline.
Right, that's true too. And he had to edit Rye apparently.
Right. Damn it! I just had some. Oh yeah, speaking of David Lapham, Stray Bullets is coming back.
Yeah, in March.
Yeah.
pretty soon. A
Yeah.
month away.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, I think I looked back. I do still actually have every issue, so I might actually start buying those.
Yeah. Well, I don't have every issue. I apparently thought it stopped at like issue 25 because that's, I think, the last one that I have.
Right.
But I guess it went to like issue 40.
Yeah.
And issue 41 is coming out in March, and that is going to end that series. And then it's going to be a series of miniseries after that.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so both in March, the last issue of Stray Bullets Volume 1 and the first issue of Stray Bullets Killers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely buy number 41.
Yeah.
And see, just to close out my collection. And
Sure,
then
yeah.
maybe I'll check out the first part of the next one.
Yeah. And they're also releasing a hardcover of all the 41 issues.
Ooh.
And like I kind of thought about buying it.
Right.
Like with my comic shop, it was, or my online thing, it was $40 for all 40 issues.
Huh? That's pretty good.
Or it was like, no, it was actually like $36. Which I mean, it's like, yeah, I do have like 25 issues of it, but
It's less than $1 an issue.
right, and it is kind of hard to find the issues I'm missing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like
You'd probably pay the same.
for a while. Yeah.
You'd pay the same amount or more
Right.
for the ones you need.
That was already a very expensive month for me,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I opted out.
I actually popped in Mavericks and looked at the new comics because I had to go get my W-2,
Yeah.
and I kind of looked around to see if there's anything I wanted to read, but I didn't see anything brand new that I wanted to read. So, like I looked to see, I wasn't sure if that Silver Surfer had started yet, but
Yeah, it starts in March as well.
yeah, it's gonna be a good month.
It's a big month.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very big month.
Yeah.
Like I said, most expensive month I've had in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be
that.
mine too because I'll buy that $3 Stray Bullets
That's right. And Silver Surfer.
and Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, like all new Ghost Rider is starting, and hey, fireworks, because it's February 2nd.
Yeah.
It's Groundhog Day. Let's fucking celebrate with some
yeah.
goddamn fireworks.
Maybe they were blowing up groundhogs. That's the kind of neighborhood you live in.
It kind of is. I bet it's Super Bowl related fireworks.
Or Magic the Gathering. I guess
Oh, yeah.
there's a
Say.
pre-release tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do live in front of a gaming shop.
Yeah. Oh.
What was I saying? We were just talking about comic bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's the Super Bowl now.
Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not watching, are you?
No, I just found out yesterday who was playing. I did watch the Puppy Bowl for the third year in a row this year,
Yeah.
which was fucking adorable. I love it. But yeah, you're not gonna watch it.
No.
No.
It's on now. It's been on for like the
Oh,
last 2
it
hours.
has?
Yeah.
You don't even. Do you dig the commercials? Or you into?
I do, but you were coming over, and so
Right.
you prevent me from enjoying myself.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what I do. Maybe you could watch them on YouTube next week while I'm at that comic convention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh. You should totally go. I'll work on you all week.
Yeah. I'm good.
My other guy probably won't go anyway. He's kind of a flaker.
All right.
He
Well,
flakes a lot.
If he doesn't, then sure, count me in.
Okay.
But I also know that I'm not really going to have much money anyway, so.
I'm going to try to limit myself to the quarter boxes.
Right.
If there are still such a thing. There are, right?
I'm
Quarter
sure
boxes.
there are.
Like it's not like dollar boxes now are the new quarter boxes.
I mean, at Mavericks, yeah.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah,
I'm sure there's some cheap boxes there. I'm sure there has to be.
hope so.
Yeah, maybe maybe if the hotel has Wi-Fi, I can access my database of books I'm missing.
I made a tangible list on a piece of notebook paper of all the Valiant comics leading up to through Unity,
Right.
and then like there's a couple of them that right after that looked kind of good, like the Tim Truman,
Right.
Turok and stuff. But
I did read when Dark Horse relaunched Dr. Solar. I think they put out a free comic book day issue.
oh
I
really?
read that. That was.
That's
fine.
right. Yeah, I remember that. I did not read it.
Yeah. And a very long time ago, I had a comic from I think Warren Publishing. They put out the Porky Pig comics
Ooh.
when I was like a very very young kid in the early '80s, And I remember there being an ad for Dr. Solar
Wow.
in that from whenever
Yeah.
published it back then.
That was something I meant to mention. Like, Valiant did comics before the Valiant universe.
Oh, yeah.
Like Mario Brothers and like all these weird cartoon comics.
Sonic.
Sonic, yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of video game related stuff, I guess. Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah. So I think Joe Quesada worked on the Sonic comic.
Really?
Yeah.
I know in a bizarre, like, comic book collectorian thing, when the Valiant universe took off, like, people were buying up, like, even the Mario Brothers comics because they had the Valiant logo on them.
Yeah.
And, like, those shot up in price a little bit. I mean, it was just, that's how fucking crazy it was.
I remember there being an issue of Superman that, like, skyrocketed as a back issue because it was the first one where, for a while, like, all the Superman books were, like, interconnected. So, like, you know, from, like, week to week, you would have to, like, you know, like, the storyline would begin in, like, Adventures of Superman, continue into Superman, and then finish in Man of Steel.
Right.
You know? And so what they would do is they would, you know, delineate it by, they had, like, a little triangle in the corner, which had a number. And, so, like, you know, while it was, like, issue 538 of Adventure and, you know, 68 of Superman and, you know, 19 of Man of Steel, like, the little triangle would be like 1, 2, 3.
Right.
And so the very first one that had the triangle, like, became like a $50 book.
Because it had a number 1 in the corner?
Yep. Well, because it was the first one with the triangle.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's what it was like in the 90s. People were just fucking crazy with the comic collecting. And they had tons of money, apparently, or there were just tons of people with a little bit of money. But yeah, there's a lot of weird things happening in the 90s. It's crazy.
Comics.
Speaking of comics,
Ooh.
I went to a comic convention yesterday.
That's right, you did.
Yeah. Sorta. It was
not necessarily a comic convention.
It was an independent creators expo.
Right.
Ice,
baby.
The very first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was in the same little in the artist alley section that you know, the same building where they have Gym CityCon, the actual big show here in Dayton. But yeah, it was tiny. It was kind of like a fourth of the size of Space, kind of.
Okay.
So it was just like 3 or 4 rows of small press people.
Right.
And it wasn't all comics. Like you said, there were some musicians and local filmmakers.
Right.
Our friend Baron von Porkchop was there.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
I sold enough books that I paid for the table and lunch, but that was about it.
Yeah.
You know. Met some cool people. I feel like there was something I was like saving to tell you because I kind of mentioned the show to you last night, but
yeah, something about meeting people.
Yeah.
Like you met somebody that you were not going to tell me about.
Well, shit, I met one guy where I'd actually met him at Mavericks. He used to shop there when I worked there, and apparently he's been making many comics since the late 70s.
Oh.
He's like in his like probably late 50s or something, and it was kind of cool. That is the only thing I bought at the show. I spent $1 and I got 3 of his mini comics because they were like tiny, you know. No. They're like half the size of a mini comic, kind of, and they're only like 4 pages. But one of them, like, he gave me, because I bought 2 of them, they're 50 cents each, and he gave me an extra one, and it had a short story by Jim Valentino in it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
nice.
So I guess he had submitted something because I don't know, because like I said, this guy's been doing books since the late 70s. So.
Sweet.
So that was pretty neat.
It's almost as cool as Dave Sim drawing an issue of Lost Kisses.
Right, yeah. I did, I sold, like, I had my new comic that you helped me on, Witchcraft the Conjuring.
I worked very hard on it.
Harder than me, probably. And, the cool thing, I did sell a few copies of that, and like, the cool part was, like, by the end of the show, one of the guys that bought one early on came back and said he read it and he thought it was awesome.
Nice.
Which, that hardly ever happens.
Right.
So that was really cool. And it wasn't somebody I'd ever met or anything, so that was really neat. What else? Oh, I saw a guy that contributed contributed to
Delinquency of a Minor?
yeah. Well, I saw a lot of that. No, he did a Buyer Beware Comics published one of his comics, one of our early comics. Adam Eckley, I don't know if you remember him.
Uh-huh.
He's good friends with Pat. He was there.
He's been at a drawing night.
Yeah.
I know.
He had like a dozen prints for sale.
Right.
That's what he was selling. So
I know that because he and I are Facebook friends.
yeah.
And by that I mean he is on Facebook and I am on Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Just like I would, if I was on Facebook, I would be able to claim I was friends with Mike Patton.
Exactly.
You know?
Right, yeah.
Because that would be the very first person I would friend.
Sure.
Yeah.
I should look to see if Mike Patton's even on Facebook.
He is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I occasionally look to see if he's got anything new coming out because I look at his Facebook page, even though I'm not on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a good show. I can't remember what it was I was going to tell you, but if it pops in there, I'll mention it. But
Right.
it was a good show. It was
Yeah.
fun. It didn't make a lot of money, but I had a lot of fun. So
Well, I mean, noticed that there wasn't a ton of promotion for the show anyway. So
right.
But yeah, hey, it's also the first year.
Yeah, the very first one.
Like, I mean, I remember going to one of the first space, shows, and it was, just small and not a ton of people there. But
And now it's big and there's not a lot of people there. So
yeah.
they've really done a lot with it. No, the space is really cool. I love, but yeah, Bob Corby, the guy that puts on Space, had a table.
There,
yeah, so it was cool. Some of the local legends were there.
Yeah. Cool beans.
Good times. Yeah, that was my fun weekend.
Sweet.
Puppy Bowl and comic show.
Yeah. I recorded a podcast yesterday. Recording a podcast right now. It's been my weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I got going
Okay.
on.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to get into the other stuff I got going on.
Well, I could just pick a movie if you want.
I enjoy movies.
Okay. Occasionally there's a movie that comes out, and while it's still in the theater, I feel really tempted to go see it because it's something I'm excited about. But I hate going to the theater.
Right.
So
what's happening right now? No, because I may have to veto just on a financial basis if this is going where I think it's going.
I arranged a free private showing of a movie, a brand new movie, so it can be just me and you in the theater for free.
All right.
I pulled some strings.
Okay.
So we can go see the new Spike Jonze movie, Her.
Excellent.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Fantastic. I don't know how you pulled this off, but
I know a guy.
Right? Because it's weird. I kind of desperately want to see that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm excited.
So anti-veto.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
Right.
That will be our thing.
Awesome. I'm super looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. I hope it doesn't fall through then.
I hope not either. Keep me informed.
All right. For sure. For sure. And I can't remember what I was going to tell you. I'm sure I'll remember later.
Speaking of Joaquin Phoenix movies, there was some bad news today.
I heard about that.
Philip Seymour Hoffman died.
Yeah, the guy from Twister.
Yeah, the guy from Twister.
Yeah, that sucks.
Where he is best known from.
Right, yeah. He was Dusty in Twister. Yeah, it's a bummer. That is a real bummer. I fucking love that guy.
Yeah.
Like he's one of those guys that, like, if I saw a movie at the library, like a DVD of it, I'm like, I don't know about this movie. Oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Okay, I'll get it.
Right.
He'd be like a good deciding factor.
Right. Because even in bad movies, he's pretty great in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Drugs.
I guess.
Probably.
That's the rumor right now.
Right.
But, it's kind of bullshit, but,
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs.
I mean, other than marijuana, because
Right.
apparently that's never killed anybody.
As far as I know.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. He was, I hope, you know, I mean, there was at least one more movie in the can somewhere that he had done, but
I heard he was supposed to be working on a kind of dark comedy TV show called Happy-ish.
okay.
And it sounded pretty good. I mean, it was just like, you know, about a guy who's happy-ish.
Right.
And I was like, that's too bad. Like, they never get to film that, I guess. Well, maybe somebody else will take over. But
probably no one near as awesome as Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Probably not, yeah.
What's your favorite Philip Seymour Hoffman
Really?
movie? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Twister?
Okay. Well, what's your real favorite Philip Seymour Hoffman?
It really is. It really is. I don't know, like, I really love him in Big Lebowski as Brad.
Right.
And I really enjoyed The Master when we watched that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Twister is definitely my favorite movie he was in.
All right.
Yeah. I fucking love that movie.
I know you do.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, he's also clearly not the star of that movie.
No, yeah.
So.
There was a movie like him and his sister were like taking care of their like dying
Savages
parents.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
that was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen most of his stuff.
I haven't seen quite a ton of it either, but
Never saw Capote. Did you see that?
no, I never saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen movies that he was great in that I kind of hated, like Schenectady, New York,
Right.
And man, I can't remember the name of this one, but Marissa Tomei was in it as well.
Oh, When the Devil Knows You're Dead.
Yeah,
Before the Devil.
Yeah, that movie was awful, but he was great in it.
I never saw it, but I remember when it was on at Neon. I almost went.
Yeah. But I think my favorite is actually Punch Drunk Love.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah. I think he's great in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was really good in Boogie Nights too.
Oh, yeah. Super great in that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
It's a super bummer.
He probably had a good dozen or 24 more movies in him.
Yeah.
So that fucking sucks.
Yep. All right. So sorry to end on a downer.
But that's what
my
happens
life.
sometimes.
Yeah, keep everything down. Maybe we'll go watch the Super Bowl commercials. After
Yeah,
this,
sure, why not?
All right. So her looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Goodbye.
Hang up. We're done, people.
Thank you for listening to Gutter Trash. You can subscribe to the show from guttertrash.net or from iTunes and leave us a review. Visit guttertrash.net for email information, links to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and for other podcasts and websites in the Gutter Trash Network. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.